So good morning, everyone. It's really wonderful to have this opportunity to hear from our three panelists this morning. When we were planning the conference, I felt with the team that it was really important that we hear some of the stories of people who have been on the journey in ways that you and I likely never will be. So with that in mind, we invited our three panelists, Father Flor Maria Rigoni, Walaa Ali, and Sister Rahad Sakat, to be with us this morning. I know that some of them are a little bit nervous speaking because we've invited them to talk about their stories that for them are quite close to their hearts, to their emotions, and many of those stories are fairly poignant to hear. And as you know, as people who are in the field and listening to stories, when people share their stories, it's a time often for them to begin to relive what happened. And that has not been easy. So I've assured them that they are among friends and that their stories are held in reverence by all of us. And we are just looking forward to hearing from each of them. And so now I'm going to invite Walaa to talk about her journey from Iraq to now working at Catholic Charities in Arlington, Virginia. So Walaa.
Thank you very much for inviting me to attend the CCUSA 2018 annual gathering. Thank you, Sister Donna, for the invitation. My name is Walaa Ali, and I am originally from Baghdad, Iraq. I am privileged to share my experience of immigration and resettlement with you today. My journey to the United States has been long, challenging, and naturally has had a significant impact on my view of loyalty and services to others. My immigration story really began in 2003 when I started serving for the US government, US military, and in 2006, I continued working for American International NGOs. As you may know, 2006 and 2007 were the most violent years in Iraq. Many Iraqis have been killed for being traitors, as the terrorist group called them. At that time, my family and I were living in a very hot area of the Iraqi capital known as Dora district. During these years, I witnessed many horrific scenes: terrorist group shooting civilian people and bodies burned or eaten by dogs. Shortly after I became a program manager for one of these NGOs, my three sisters joined this NGO alongside me. It was very hard for our family to have 4 members working for Americans. My sisters and I were forced to hide ourselves by wearing niqab, showing only our eyes, and changing our transportation route to every day. In 2006, we were threatened and shot by unknown gunmen who considered us agents of the United States. In 2007, our lives have been changed dramatically when members of unarmed militias stormed into our house, screaming at us and calling us traitors for supporting the United States and working for the US government. The attackers beat the family members with the stocks of their firearms, striking my father on his head and giving him a concussion. The militia members ordered us to leave the house that night or face beheading with a severed heads that to be placed on the top of my family car. We fled that night and stayed with a relative. The day after we left our house, it was burned. My father died. Several weeks later, as a result of the concussion he received during the attack on our house. Thereafter, the remaining family members changed locations several times to avoid detection and lived in hiding for several years. In 2008, my family and I applied to International Refugee Assistance Program. There was no timeline for when or even if we will be resettled by this program. We were simply waiting. In 2009, I joined USAID as a performance management specialist. This new position brought additional challenges due to the fact that the new work now took place inside the international zone. This area was targeted heavily by the terrorist group due to the fact the heavy American presence, including the US Embassy. So any wrong steps, too long spent near the checkpoint, or too predictable off-routine was invitation to be shot. As a USAID employee, I was eligible to apply for SIV program, which I did. In 2012, after receiving cruel messages and calls threatening my life and those of my family, we fled to Erbil, the capital of Kurdistan region. I was thankful to the USAID mission director and USAID mission supervisor, executive officer, who agreed to give me a letter to facilitate my escape with my family. A few months later, one of my sisters and I were able to secure SIV visa and traveled to the United States. Arriving to the US was both joyful and overwhelmed. Finding a job, learning a new culture and system all took time and energy. In 2014, my mom received her approval to join my sister and I. However, this joy was slightly diminished by the fact that my two sisters and brother were denied the right to immigrate to the United States. It is extremely discouraging to wait 6 years for assistance only to be handed a denial without any further explanation and contrary to any plausible reading of the facts of the case. Before, I was proud to serve the US government in my country because they did great service for Iraqi people, and also because they understood and appreciated the price that I paid to assist them. Now I am one of Catholic Charities member, having this opportunity to serve others whose histories are similar to mine was a great blessing for me. Now my life is dramatically different than even short time ago and looks nothing like it did in 2007. I received my US citizenship. I have my mom and my sister, and the only wish that I have to reunited with my sisters. Thank you very much for listening.